obviously, in my case, I would say it's a mix of culture. It's moving from one continent to the next. Language actually really matters to the way the brain works, in that you can't express actually the same thing in French and in English sometimes. You know, you translate them, but they don't actually do it right. And so forcing this disruption in my life, since we're talking about disruption, that's clearly the biggest thing that made me who I am. My current role is to be the innovation arm of the CIO's organization at IBM, so the internal IT enablement. And an initiative is any area of either technology or, in our case, in a lot of usage of technology that are going to change the way IBMers work. So, for example, you know, you talked when we started about a lot of middle management in particular going, oh my God, there is Facebook and Twitter, that's really scary. My job is to understand these things and say, you know, that may be scary, but you know what, get over it, it's happening. So how are we going to introduce it and leverage it and make sure that people use it? And by the way, not give up all the data that we want to keep private or confidential. How are we going to do it? So certainly social computing, in our case, in the case of my team, that was an initiative, let's say 2 to 3 years ago. We've declared victory on that one. We're done. And actually at IBM, we do use social computing an awful lot. So we're done with that. The big ones that are happening now is all around mobility. How do you use whatever you have, wherever you are, whenever you want to do the work you want to do? Linked to that, though, is a big initiative around security. That's why people are scared. People are scared because of security, and you keep hearing it in the news. So we're trying, you know, and you talk to the security people in our organization, what they want to do, they want to take all of our mobile devices, put them in a vault in a bank, and then if you have a really, really, really good business reason, you can go and get it, okay? And then what everybody else wants to do is whatever they want to do. And so there is this tension in the middle, and part of what we do is try to find, in this case, technology solution that still make things secure but enables people to work whichever way they want. We've learned a bunch of stuff. One is that you do have to keep challenging the status quo. There are actually, you know, there are good reasons for the status quo. There are good reasons for people to do what they do the way they do it and not want to change it. You know, there is this notion, it's not broken, let's not fix it. The problem is that it is going to get broken by the fact that the world is moving. But if you ask IBMers what is the one technology of the last 15 years that has transformed their workplace the most, actually, if you know a lot of IBMers, ask them, I'd be interested in what they find. But 90% of that will say it's instant messaging. Instant messaging, if you want to shut down IBM, you shut off our instant messaging, we don't know how to function anymore. Because everything we do is through instant messaging. I mean, to the point, my husband works for IBM too, and when we both work from home, his office is downstairs, mine is upstairs, he'll instant message me, you know, what's for dinner this evening. You know, I mean, we cannot function without instant messaging, both internally and externally. So when you think about it, instant messaging is not a new technology, but think about it 15 years ago, okay? So 15 years ago, some young kid went to see their management and said, you know, instant messaging, that's really good. Probably not 15, actually, probably 12. Went and said, this is really cool technology, we should use it internally, I use it with my friends, and their management obviously said, no, this is a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea because this is a toy, this is something that you say yourself with your friend, it's something that teenagers do, it is not important to us, okay? So because we had, as I said, I was not in charge of the group at the time, but we had a similar kind of structure that made it possible to say, okay, well, let's not deploy it to everybody at IBM. That's too risky and maybe too early. But let's put it someplace where if people are interested, they can start using it in a safe environment. And it literally exploded. It exploded to the point where, as I said, completely changed the way we work, where we had to say, okay, if every IBMer is using this, this is clearly big. Let's build a product around it. We'll say it to our clients too. So my job is to do that, to find the ones where management will say, no, does not apply to our business model, or no, it's too scary, and find a safe way, pilot it internally, and see if it sticks. So one big lesson is you need to find a way for people to try things, even if they look like either counter to the current strategy, or even if people don't understand them. So that's the first lesson. The second one is you have to be ready for, or accepting, ready maybe is the wrong word, but accepting of failure, which is we need to be able to put on this platform for trying stuff. We put a lot of stuff out there, and the big ones like instant messaging or like all the social tool wikis and all of them that are now deployed internally at IBM, or what we are doing right now. We do a lot of video conference because we work remotely. For everyone that really changes the way IBMers work, we have tons of them that don't. And I certainly am not smart enough to look at something new and say, this is going to work or it's not going to work. From a technology point of view, I can say, yes, it's working, or no, it's not working. I can say whether the technology is working. What I cannot say is, are people really going to jump into this one? I'll give you a specific example of something that if I were a betting woman, I would have bet would work and did not. A couple of years ago, so at IBM we have something like, 450,000 employees, something like that. And 50% of them don't even have fixed offices at all. One-on-one, you can use video type of technologies, or the phone actually works quite well one-on-one. But when you start to do group type meeting, it's hard to do video because if you have more than 3 or 4, it's too small. It doesn't add much to it. So we were saying, okay, what else can we do that would really help people work together? So we introduced 3D internet type of technology, like, Second Life type of stuff. And we brought it inside our system so that we really had a business environment where people, rather than being, fanciful avatars, actually look like human beings, had their real name and their real titles, that it was authenticated internally, and their real voice, and we would have business meetings that way. And by the way, the technology worked great. And people actually liked it. If you force people to use it, if you said, we will have a meeting, it will be in Second Life, you have to use that technology, they would do it, and they would tell you, it works. It works well. It actually works better than a phone conference or a video, a web type of conference, because you're more engaged. You have this notion of presence that works better. However, they would not then go and use it in their own meeting. So the numbers didn't grow. The number of users didn't grow. And that's what we do. We track, is this technology being picked up by a lot of people? This makes it possible for us to try a lot of things in a simple platform that doesn't cost a lot of money. And when it fails, we haven't invested a huge amount of time or money on it, and we can stop. So that's the other big lesson learned, to have a platform that enables a lot of things to be tested, but embrace failure. Say, okay, we tried it. It was worth a shot. The biggest challenge, I think, is twofold. One is to recognize that, especially in today's environment with all this social computing, there are tons of good ideas out there. And no one, and the technology, you're right, is rarely the limiting factor. What is the limiting factor is figuring out, of all these ideas out there, which one are going to stick. And so the challenge is to put a process and a set of technologies in place that make it possible to try all of the ideas and see what works. I mean, in a way, if you look at the web outside of big corporations, that's what happens by itself. By itself, people put tons of stuff out there, and some things work and some don't. And even something that looks like they are working at the beginning and don't end up being the winner. If you look at Facebook versus MySpace, I mean, 7 years ago, would you have bet on Facebook or on MySpace? I would not have known. So the web provides this environment of trying a lot of stuff, and the stuff people works by itself. So in a corporation, the biggest challenge is to do this. Because what you tend to do, especially in big corporation, if you're in a startup, it's relatively easy for the manager to look at all of the ideas and say, yes, this is a good idea, or no, it's not a good idea. First, because it's small, there are not 30,000 ideas. And secondly, because the manager or the CEO generally is the same person who can really best judge his or her own niche. In a company like IBM, it's much too huge. There are too many ideas, and there is not one single person who can look at all of them and judge them. So I think the biggest challenge is, how do we enable the IBM population to vote with their behavior the same way that people on the web vote with their behavior? So I think that's the biggest challenge. The second one that you mentioned is a good one too, though, which is right after that is, well, how do I, in a job like mine, keep justifying my budget year after year? Because I have to go and convince my management that, yes, 80 or 90% of the ideas fail, but that's by design. If you have more success than that, you're clearly not trying everything. You clearly don't have a platform where people can put any idea on that. I think finally happening, certainly within IBM, I can't talk for other corporations, which is for IBM to succeed, the individual, obvious, that's always been here at IBM, that by the way, that individuals have to succeed for the company to succeed. However, the difference now is individuals have to work in different ways, and the technology, it used to be, you're completely right, the technology used to be, well, this is a technology that IBM CIO has embraced, you're going to use this. The people we're hiring today, and the more enlightened of the older people, are saying, no, this is just the wrong way because it doesn't serve anyone's purpose. What you end up doing is giving people a standard platform, which means no one is happy. For a lot of people, it's overpowered. For a lot of people, it's underpowered. And for the majority of people, it's not the platform they like, okay? From the CIO's point of view, it's not a good solution either, because it's an expensive solution. Because you have to give, everybody a laptop that is decent. Everybody has a set of solutions on them that are expensive, and that there are a lot of people do not need this full range of solution. So we have actually within the CIO a strategy that's called the workplace of the future. And for IBM, the workplace, frankly, is whatever device you use wherever you happen to use it. Okay, that's what we mean by workplace. And this workplace of the future, it's all about what do you as an individual actually need to help IBM succeed, but at the individual level. So we're really going in that direction. There is no doubt that it is the only way to move forward. It's disruptive, though, because it's not the way corporations have been doing it. And it really goes away from this notion of, we'll give you this, it used to be, we'll give you this green screen, that's how old I am, we'll give you this desktop, we'll give you this laptop, to now we're thinking of, you know what, you've got the stuff. We don't need to give you anything. We need to give you the possibility to use whatever you have in whatever way you want.